Bob and Laura Lynn Hickey knew they wanted land. They knew they wanted a mature neighborhood. They wanted a few neighbors, but not too close. The actual house, well, that didn't seem to matter as much, as long as it had good bones. They'd already renovated one home, and they knew they could make a house their own. The Hickeys found their dream location on 2 picturesque acres in Clayton. The neighbors are still within sight. A creek runs through the backyard. There's a barn on the property that houses a few animals, and there's a second barn. They call that one home.
This main space was a bank barn.
What's a bank barn?
A bank barn is a barn that's built into a hill.
Okay.
So that's why we have a walkout basement, because that was the lower level of the barn.
Okay.
And then this was probably the hayloft.
The barn had been converted to a house by the previous owners in the 1970s. When the Hickeys bought it, the house needed work, but they saw the house's potential.
It was in good shape.
It was in real good
Yeah,
shape.
it was in good shape,
and
but
the
it was
folks
just
who lived
very
here
dated.
had it
Right.
furnished nicely, so
Yes.
it really looked
Yeah, and it was
great.
well cared for, and they did it. It was just so outdated. Previously to this, we had lived in Mechanicsburg, and we had done quite a bit of renovation to that home as well. It was an old farmhouse. So I think we felt like we
thought it would be
could
easy.
handle it.
The idea was to sell their other house, then begin work on the barn house. But the previous house didn't sell right away, delaying the renovation of the new house by about 5 years.
We pretty much did the whole main level. We had all just normal house here. We wanted it to be more open. It was the same model from when it was built, which was the early 70s.
Right.
And we had some ideas about what we wanted to do. And of course, what normally happens when you start, you keep adding more things. Pretty soon we had a porch as well, but the real project was to take the whole main level of the house and open it up and modernize, and especially really Laura Lynn wanted a much bigger kitchen.
It just felt very disjointed, and I think primarily because of the kitchen being just a long, narrow hallway. You didn't have a gathering space where everybody could all be together. So yeah, it just felt a little dark and closed in, and now it's all open and light.
They turned the formal dining room into a master bedroom, sitting room, and master bath, and moved the dining room into part of the living room to make room for a larger kitchen. They moved a half bath around the corner, removed a TV room and a couple of closets, plus they heated a screened-in porch and added a wall of windows.
They started in the basement first so we would have someplace to live. So they ripped the kitchen out, put it downstairs, we moved the laundry room from one space down there to another. So they got that ready for us.
We stayed in the bedrooms.
Yes.
Upstairs, and then we would come down. For a while the bathrooms were off limits upstairs. We would come down to an empty space
Unheated
for months
space
and months.
in the middle of winter. It was very cold.
Yeah, it was all winter.
And we would just scoot downstairs.
Yeah, everything was torn up right after Thanksgiving.
But there is a full shower downstairs.
Yeah, we
that
added
we installed. So we had the shower and the laundry room and the kitchen all in one space. So it was a little studio apartment with 2 kids and 3 dogs. But other than that, it was great. Bumping into walls.
One little space to eat, and one little relatively small space for 4 people and a TV. But you get spoiled. I'm one of 11 children, and for a long time when I was little coming up, when we finally got 2 bedrooms or 2 baths and then 3, it was amazing. It was a long time we made do with quarters that would have been comfortable for 2 or 3 people, and you do it.
Construction lasted almost 8 months, from Thanksgiving to Independence Day.
We were so excited to have this done that I was willing to put up with any discomfort.
Besides being more functional, the Hickey home is one of the brightest houses you'll ever enjoy. Light comes in from all angles, which is one of Laura Lynn's favorite parts.
We had this beautiful setting, and we want to bring it inside as much as possible. So that's why you also see very few window coverings, and I just like to be able to look out all the time. And probably my favorite room to be in is the library. That's where I have my desk and my computer, and it's got the most windows and it's got the nicest view, so I can sit and look out
It's very warm now. You just want to come in, and there is not a room in this house that I don't like to be in now. I think we wind up spending more time together now that it's open than we did before. Everybody had their own little areas they wanted to go. It's a family home.
And the screened porch that runs nearly the length of the back of the house is an added comfort.
The area off the kitchen and off the sitting room now, we use, those doors will be open to the outdoors all day, and a lot of fresh air.
We end up eating
and
out. That's our
spend
kitchen
a lot of time out
in the
there,
summer.
and you really are outside when you go there.
The Hickeys say that the 5 years they had to prepare gave them time to get just what they wanted. They recommend taking your time planning a renovation.
Get some good advice on the architect or the contractor. Don't do it on the spur of the moment. Spend several months or a year working with them, going back and forth about ideas, so that one thing, you get to know them, you make them want it to be a nice project for the work that they do, and it helps you a lot anticipate any problems with the budget.
We went through thousands of magazines and thousands of newspapers and watched HGTV religiously 24 hours a day. By doing that, you kind of immerse yourself in that whole remodeling culture. You can come up with some really good ideas, and you can start pulling things from different projects and saying, well, that would work here. Even though it is a $2 million house, we can make it work.
They talked of buying a new house, but they wouldn't have gotten the country setting that they've come to love.
I know my husband likes the charm of an older neighborhood. You know, those new neighborhoods are just usually cornfields that have had houses put on them. And that held no appeal for me because I really wanted property. I love having neighbors, but I like to have my neighbors where I can barely see them. So I knew I needed a lot of space, and those new neighborhoods just don't have that. You know, they're very big homes on very small lots, and that just didn't appeal to me at all. And I know Bob wanted the character that you get from an older neighborhood with the established trees and hills and valleys and creeks and so forth that aren't quite so set and exactly the same from neighborhood to neighborhood.
I love a place where I can go run and there's not a ton of traffic going on, and the kids are on the road more now, and so there's a lot of space and a lot of peace and quiet. It's hit it just right.
There's a certain ambiance to an older neighborhood.
And a history.